Hello, hello, hello. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're going to rejoice and be glad in it. Oftentimes we see the blessings of God around us in so many different ways. And this program is one of those blessings that God has given us to talk with people who have big visions, not just for themselves, but for the society from which they come. And God's blessings leads us and guides us in the way that we should go. Today we have two beautiful people working for not themselves, but for the society in which they find themselves. Of course, this is the Gracious Hope podcast that come to you every Saturday at this time. My co-host Alex is here in the background. He's ready to come on anytime. And we'll be discussing big projects in Liberia today. We want you to share this video so that those who will miss this live broadcast will not miss the entire thing. Many times we depend on government to support us. We rely on government for everything we need. And if government fails, we complain and complain and complain. But we forget to know that we have within us the gifts that God has given us to jump into the process and help elevate God's people wherever they are. And that is the story today we have, discussing what we will discuss today as the Panta Pride. We're in Liberia, sub-Saharan Africa, where people are putting themselves together with self-help projects that are geared towards taking people out of poverty. So before I go far, let me bring my co-host in today, Alexander Red, who will also just say briefly as we continue today's broadcast. Alice, you can come in, brother.
Yeah, yes, it is a pleasure to be here once again. This is the Gracious Hope Live Podcast, and we will be talking with some distinguished guests, and they will be talking about things that they are doing when it comes to development of our country in the Leeward County, in one of the Leeward counties, Bong County, one of the districts there. There's something very amazing going on, and you will never believe it because all we do as Liberians, majority of us, is to criticize, compare, and contrast, and nothing is done. But they are taking the initiative to deliver practical reality of what it means to fend for yourself, and that is self-sufficiency, and that's what they are involved in. And so it will be our guest today, and Reverend Dede. I'm so glad that we're able to come across them so that they can talk more about our nonprofit organization and some of the work that they have been doing to make a difference in the lives of our people in the hinterland.
Exactly, exactly. And the good thing is we know that it's not easy to start a viable project. There'll be the Sambalet and the Tobias Elizabeth. I know that they will criticize you, to put you down, but they have no alternative solutions but just to criticize you and discourage you. But these two people, where they have come so far, it means they depend on God. They rely on the leading of the Holy Spirit to exercise the gifts that God has given them. This is out of their heart that they are doing. They don't have to do this, Alex, but it is out of their hearts they are doing it. So we want to, what would I say, employ the efforts and thank God for what God is doing. God is doing through them. So stay tight. We will be right back, and Alex will take it from there.
All right. And so here we will play this first video here. And in this video, we'll see how uh, they are helping every way to help local communities within that district. And the name of the organization is the Panta Pride. And we have Mr. Karmue and his wife, Wendy. They will be here to share more light on what they are doing. But let us play this video just to enlighten you about some of the things that they are doing in the hinterland.
Join us. Become transformed. This is not about these people, this is about you. This is really an opportunity for you to not only give, but a gift that will give back to you tenfold. This is about you marrying yourself around humanity in such a way that has never been done before. When you give to a project like this, it gives right back to you. the joy of seeing something transform, the joy of seeing the faces change, the joy of giving people hope that they can hang on to. This is not something hopeless. This is very hopeful. And if we can dare to break the ice of sustainable food growth in Liberia, in this region, it becomes the catalyst for transformation in Liberia forever. It's a crazy venture, but it's an adventure that I'm inviting you to be a part of. Join us.
And indeed, they are making strides with the local people in a particular district. And it is our pleasure to bring on here the couple. We are so glad or joyful in our spirit to see the amazing work that you are doing with the common people to empower them. Now, the question is, where is your motivation? How this all came about?
Well, thank you so much, Alexander and Swad. Thank you all so much for having us on the show today. My wife and I are just humble servants who believe that as we live, as we've been given the opportunity to escape Liberia, to come to a different country, we also were given a chance to go back through a promise that my mother made as we were leaving Liberia. We were caught by rebel soldiers in order to be executed when I was 8 years old. And they took us to a killing field. And as we were pleading for our lives, the rebel leader turns to my mother and tells her that he was tired with the crying and begging, and pretty much made her to choose who should die that day. My mother chose to die so that we can live. And when they took her to that killing field and they ordered a 14-year-old child to shoot my mom, that's where everything started to change. Through her prayers, she saw the child as an innocent child, but she also saw the situation that she had no control over it. So her prayer to God was a promise that somehow, some way, if the bullet that will come from that gun, if it does not kill her, she promised God to become a mother to a child like the one that was about to execute her. In the middle of that promise, before the gunshot left that gun, the things that happened, heaven started to move. Right before the child shot my mother, my little sister, who was 5 years old, ran to the field, grabbed my mother, and started to plead for her life. And it was in that moment the child brought the gun to the floor in confusion whether or not to kill my mother and my sister. And as that was happening, the leader turns to the child and tells her to shoot both my mom and my sister. And if that wasn't enough, as soon as she was about to do that, another gentleman whose wife was pregnant was brought to the field to be executed simultaneously. He started to fight all the rebels. All the attention went to him, leaving the child alone to decide whether or not she's going to kill my mom. The child turns to my mother and tells her to pick up her clothes and run away. We escaped that Depot Road killing field by a thin margin. We had 200 miles walk to leave the country. Finally took refuge in the Ivory Coast. My father was in the United States at the time. He managed to find us, and here we are. The American dream was right in front of us. Came here, we went to school, and life was good. Right after the war was over in 2003, my mother and father sat us in the living room and reminded us about a promise that mom made in a killing field, that our life was based on a promise. We were alive because of a promise. And she drilled that in our heads, and that became a part of us, that we no longer live for ourselves, but we live so that other people can have life, because we escaped and they did it.
Yeah.
So when it went back, they adopted 44 children directly from the Civil War, and that was the beginning of our human experiment with our people.
Mm.
They had not had the chance that we had to live in such an affluent country. So God gave us a chance to nurture children of war, children who saw traumatic situation, whose parents were executed, and like us, our country were both destroyed. But what we had and that they did not have is that we had a point of reference. We had a chance to see what excellence looked like in America and around the world. They did it. So our entire life has been subject to the concept of proving that excellence can also take place in Liberia if we mentor people to excellence. Liberia has been caught in this warfare of demonic craziness where people have been subject under a suppressed concept of living to a point where they have not had a chance to breathe. So everything that we do have to have carry a meaning of opening people's mind so that they can become empowered to understand that we have to be the point of reference that they did not have. And so we do things from a level of excellence, and we do things from a strategy of anything is possible if we put our mind to it, and then we take on challenges that are bigger than us. So that's our motivation is strictly from God.
That's wonderful. And Panda Pride, power of belief. How can you explain that? What do you do? What are some of your work?
Well, let me go first, and honey, I guess you can come in. So we started Save More Kids. That was the name of the organization. Save More Kids focus on these 44 kids, mentoring them, empowering them, and then opening their eyes to the community. And that took place over the course of 15 years of our life, dedicated to mentoring and really expanding the mindset of young people to think bigger than their condition, their crisis. And as a result of that, most of our kids are now in college. We have kids in the United States with full scholarship from war to being to thriving. Now that most of our kids started to grow, God used the same experiences that we had to mentor these traumatized children, and take the experience now to communities across, to a specific community that can become more or less a living classroom. What if we can take one community with a demographic of about 30,000 people, about 32 villages, and focus the same way we focus on kids in a home? Is it possible to re-engineer the condition that they live in by changing the mindset about the condition? And whether it's a food crisis, whether it's a road crisis, healthcare crisis, we approach it the same way. We approach it from a standpoint of can-do spirit. And so our aim is to enact in these people a can-do spirit that is possible to use their creativity that has never been put to practice before. Because if you think about it, most of the children that were born during the war don't have a point of reference. The only thing they know is corruption, is handouts. So they don't have this superhero mentality of Liberians doing things so grandiose and so great that they can use that as an example for their own life. And then those who are born after the war, the same trauma, they face the same situation. So Panta Pride is geared towards establishing the sense of pride and humanity, that leads to patriotism for Liberians to use their creativity to be able to have a sense of pride to themselves. So it's not just the region of Panta, but it can move to any district. It can be Zota Pride, it can be Niba Pride, eventually leading to Liberia Pride. The concept of us having a point of reference where we who are Liberian can exercise excellence in the way how we approach problem solving, and think about it from a standpoint of not only depending on government for what government can do, but from the standpoint of what is possible when Liberians work together, and can we actually do things that is transparent? Can we beat the status quo for everything that people say is not possible for Liberians to do? Is it possible for us to start thinking differently about crisis? Is it possible for us to attract the word, to have different kind of partnership with us, and not just hand out, but being able to shake our hands in ways that we can establish business relationships, being able to shake our hands in ways that our people can become the champion of the changes that take place within their communities, so that one person is not taking the credit for something that the majority is going to enjoy. But we can bring the community together under this umbrella of thriving, then perhaps we can start a movement that will transform the country. So that's where Panta Pride comes in.
Wonderful. What an incredible story. I hear you using the words human experiment. Human experiment. I know you have elaborated on a lot, but why why those two key words, human experiment. What is the experiment that you want us to think about?
But if you think about Liberia as a whole, we are a country that have been under experiment. Sometimes we just don't know that we are the subject of that experiment. And most time, the end result of that experiment can be predicted based on the condition that people find themselves in. And so from the very beginning, it has been, is it possible to discover a new word in Africa? And then if we discover that word, can Black people actually go back to that word and establish a country governed under the system of the greatest country on planet Earth? The experiment took place. The end result is what we are experiencing today. Unfortunately, when our brothers and sisters left the United States to shake hands with the natives of Liberia and that of Sierra Leone, they did not come with open arms. They came with an enslaved mentality that then turned around and enslaved their own people, suppressed their own people for hundreds of years. So it wasn't this sense of welcoming to our people to a degree where we would thrive together. So the experiment went wrong. And then you fast forward to the 80s, it became worse because what ended up happening is that once the systemic concept of oppression took hold of our people, trying to rip themselves away from that led a lot of rift in the system where a lot of our people started to feel like they were the victim of a long-standing concept that have demonized them for years. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, here comes the Civil War. Now I can get into details on that, but it might take us a lot more time than we need now.
Yeah, I know.
It's always been under experiment. Now, if we took the same concept and really understood it from this perspective that there are few things that changes within an experiment. Either there are some things that are constant, but there are some things that don't change at all. Geography, as we know it, never changes, right? Mm-hmm. History can repeat itself, but geography does not repeat itself. It's constant. People changes over time based on the condition you put them under. So if you suppress people for so long, they will change. And they will get used to that changing mentality, and that history of suppression is going to continue. So if we turn that upside down and say, okay, if oppressors use this methodology of suppressing people, so why don't we turn it upside down and give people a chance to breathe? Give them a chance to become the change. Give them a chance to believe that the greatest part of them have not been lived yet. But if we give them that little chance and mentor them into the process, expect them to make mistakes, but then hold their hands throughout the entire experiment until they can accomplish something, one thing they all have in common. And if that thing is, for example, a road that is denigrating the entire community, it doesn't matter what tribe you come from, it doesn't matter what language you speak, that road is bad and everybody can feel the weight of it. But if the community is nurtured to become the change, to understand how to build that road themselves, to understand how to give back for that development to take place, then our experiment is saying that we are just going to change the concept of how we give to them so that they themselves can become the powerhouse for giving to their own problem. Then if we invite the rest of the world to come from behind and put our arms around them to build that one road, then we will not get to a place where the mentality of the people will be transformed. So in other words, I mean, I know I'm explaining a lot, but this human experiment is one that I believe if we do it properly, our country has to change because our people are constipated with ideas that has not come to light because they haven't been given chance to be able to actually thrive. So we want to give them a chance to exercise something that they have never had a chance to do. And hopefully in the process of doing that, they'll grow a sense of patriotism that will allow them to be a part of transformation in their country.
Yes.
Wendy has been listening so attentively and keep looking at your face and asking you, when am I going to say something? So go right ahead, Alex will come in.
Yes. Okay, so you're talking about that experience, human experience. You're talking about leading the way pragmatically. That is actually making the people making an example and say, "Hey, this is how it should be done. We can do it ourselves," and that is why you practically introducing or you have already introduced that to that community in Bong County in that district. And so here is an example that I just want to play here just for our audience to see.
We will never forget Save More Kids. To lay the foundation to the future, we are establishing Panta Pride. Never again should our people suffer because there's no good roads. Never again should our people go hungry because there's no food in the country. We will not blame government for what government cannot do right now. We will buttress government where government needs buttressing. We will rewrite the story that we want to see written for tomorrow. We will never forget Save More Kids. And I want to give a special thanks to a special gentleman who is the chairman for my organization. His name is Al Fazola. And all of my board who is going to work hard in order for us to not only generate the type of funding we need, but will work hard in order for us to keep our promise to our donors.
The communities of this country are our richest asset. Those who feel that Liberians are just sitting and waiting forever for him, it stops now. Rise up, empower communities, and let communities take responsibility for their development. There's 32 communities in Panta. They raised almost $20,000 for their own road. We are a country that imports over 90% of our food. Panta is producing its own rice and bagging it here in Panta. Panta land, Panta people, Panta men and women working the ground together in partnership. Panta's pride is Liberia's pride.
And indeed, it is so fascinating to see how Liberians are rebuilding their own country without government's help. This is so amazing. And as we reflect and hear the experiences of Mr. and Mrs. Karmue, we can see that human self-sufficiency, our own, effort and strength to rebuild our country from scratch. It is a practical reality that we must see right now. And for you, Wendy, as you look at this and your experience with your husband all along, what are some of the main things that you believe that people who are listening right now should understand about the work that you and your husband are doing?
Well, thank you for the question, Dr. Red. This work, all glory to God. Thank you, Reverend Dida, for inviting us and having us on the podcast. Yeah, it's a pleasure. And thank you to all the listeners for the time. Yeah, it's an honor to do the work that we do. All along, it has been God. We went into it with faith, and it has been God providing all the way. Because we believe in helping our people. We're from there. We went through the wall and came here and just been blessed by all the resources in the United States here. So it's hard just staying here and not looking back, from where we come from. So it's a blessing. So my husband, when his family went back and adopted for the 4 kids, my husband, I would look at each other like we have to help. They left everything here, nothing saved up, they just have faith. When we asked them, Mom, Dad, how you guys gonna do it? It's like God will provide. And that just broke, it just caught our attention, like, yes, indeed, God will provide. And my husband was like, we gotta jump in. And all our siblings will all just, jump in and pitch in. And thanks for all the other, for our donors too that have, heard about the work and step in, and we're blessed. And we know that God is gonna do some, wonderful works there. And it's amazing seeing the people. They inspired me when I was there last year, and just seeing how excited they are, and just getting on board. If that penny they're raising it, and they're talking to one another about the work, it's exciting to see our people, involved. Because a lot of time people's like, oh, Liberian, that you hear all the negativity, and it's not our people. And, the majority, they're ready for development. They're ready to change their country. And you can't go there and look at them and just overlook them. No, they're powerful. They are human beings, looking at their faces and just like, you know what? It's just a beautiful thing to see. So we're excited. We're working on the nursing school, the rice farming, the role, and just part of it is just mentoring, and just encouraging them. And it's nothing like seeing people who are inspired, and it's like a light that just go off when they're talking to you. So it's been a blessing, and we're excited. And like I said, my husband, I didn't do anything. It is God work. God is doing His work,
That's
and
right.
we're just proud to be part of that.
So you talk about school, you talk about nursing and all of that. Can you talk more about it? How would it benefit that particular region? And what is the name of that district and that particular region? And can you tell us more about the schooling and other initiatives
Yeah,
that you're talking
great.
about?
Yes. So the nursing school, we decided the nursing school, because that district is like an hour away. The Panta district, which is comprised of 32 villages.
And that's
Um,
in Bong County, right? In Bong County.
yeah, Panta district in Bong County. So where Panta is located is like an hour away from Phoebe Hospital. So let's say, and the road condition, as you can see in one of the village, is really bad. So let's say if somebody is saying if there's trauma case or somebody severely sick, or a woman that's in labor, get on that bad road to travel an hour to get to the hospital is very dangerous. A lot of time they don't really make it, especially if the woman is in labor. They don't really make it that far. The maternity clinic that is there in Panta is not well equipped to handle severe cases, so they have to transfer them over to Phoebe. And then the lot, you have over 30,000 people in this region. And if they want to go to school, they have to go all the way out to Cottington Park, like an hour and a half away. So we feel like, if we establish nursing school here, it can help, the population in this region. So it's not just a nursing school. We're going to have a laboratory. We have a section there for culinary and farming to teach agriculture. So that's going to help this region, so they're not going too far away. So we train them there, and then they get to work with the maternity clinic there too, and then at least to be able to supply the needs of the area and educating our people. And then one of the goal with that is that to establish an ambulance system to be able to help transport the citizen to Phoebe more easily. And that was one of the goal for that. And then also with the initiative, the farming initiative is to be able to help the citizen. When we brought out the idea, they embraced it. And then now each of the villages are giving out land, a plot of land, like, okay, I'm on board, and they all give out land. So what we do is that we give them the resources that they need, tools, the rice they need to be able to plant. And out of this, with this, as they plant the rice, as the rice blossom, we buy some from them. They keep some of the food, and we buy some for them. So they have money and they have food to eat. So we take that, we put that in the bank and sell, at a lower price to the citizen. So it just empower the community to be able to stand on their own. So those are some of the initiatives. And now it's a unity road that is being built to be able to reduce the mortality that is associated, the hindrance their roads pose for people getting to the hospital and to nearby neighboring county. So those are some of the initiatives we're involved with.
This is marvelous. This is marvelous. So somebody will ask the question, and then I may follow up for another one. You have a fertility clinic there. Why don't you help equip the maternity clinic, fertility clinic, as you call it, rather than doing the nursing school? Somebody will ask that. I know you have an answer for that.
Yes. So indeed, we partner. So they're all on our. This is what all on our plan to be able to help them. So now that taking upon that as a mission, I'm a nurse. My sister-in-law, she's a nurse. She's got a doctorate. My other sister-in-law, we're all nurses. We have 5 nurses in the family. So
Okay.
indeed, the maternity clinic, but the nursing school is that we're going to have midwifery. We're going to have a program for midwifery to be able to support the maternity clinic that is very small. And of course, one of my plan working starting next one is just to gather support the clinic needs and the hospital in order to empower them. But also we need nurses because there's not enough nurses in the area. And doing research over, 80% of the mortality is child labor, infant mortality. So our goal is to empower the clinic, but so that we want to be able to train nurses to be able to distribute, so that they're evenly distributed in the country. Because right now, the nurses that I train, they're staying in the city. We don't have enough nurses that are in the rural area. So it's not even in the nurses there, it's not evenly distributed. So we're starting to train nurses in the rural area, so at least we can be able to, empower the region so they can be able to, go across the different counties to be able to help out. Yeah. And then of course the maternity clinic there, we partner with them to be able to see what they need and how we can help them. So those are things that we're working on with my family here on how we can help them at the same time with the nursing school, because the nursing school is going to be beneficial to the clinic. We have a midwifery program that's going to go in and help the clinic, and they just, it's a partnership, and we, our goal is to help one another because we can't do it alone. We need those partnerships because they're helping people, and we're all helping people. We have to hold together and help one another to be able to serve our people, because at the end of the day, it's our community we're serving. So that's a great question. Thank you. And we need the support. If you have any information, my job now, I'm putting PowerPoint together to be able to partner with hospital that are willing to be able to help us, in Liberia. Yeah. So thank you for that question.
That's great. Alex, I see you smiling. You have something to say. Go right ahead, Alex.
Yeah. To all our viewers, we'd like to say this is the Gracious Hope Live Podcast. My name is Pastor Alexander Red, along with Reverend Suarez Dede. And we have our special guests here who, of course, have this nonprofit organization, both the Panta Pride and Save Our Kids. They have been involved with a lot of initiatives in the hinterland, Bong County, in that district, the Panta district, and they are helping the local community there to fend for themselves. They cultivate the soil and they harvest, and they get rice from there. They bag their own rice, and just to empower people for themselves. We don't have to wait on government, and that is a very central piece right there. We don't have to wait for government to make a rule, even though it should be that responsibility to create an enabling environment for its citizens. But we see since 1847, since independence, we see how the hinterland is being handled by even the government, no jobs. And so with the couple here, that initiative to empower local people, it is something that all Liberians should see, and to also pave the way. You can go to your county and do the same. And I believe that they deserve your support in every way. You deserve your moral support, your financial support, your prayer, and everything that you can put in just to help local communities. It's not just for them, it's for the people. And you see that effort is so selfless. And so if you're just joining us, we'd like to say share this link with your friends, your families, and your relatives so that they can be a part of this program. And as we see here, a lot of comments we see coming in here. And this is from Moreau D. Gourmet. He said, thanks for the great initiatives. And then he follows up by asking the question, how can one be a part? That's what he's trying to say. How can he be the part of it? Okay, we will let you know. And then there is another one, say, real patriots. Thanks. And that is what our country needs today. Patriotism. You have to be patriotic. Love your country. It doesn't matter where you live in the diaspora. Go back home and help the local people. Now they are here building roads, trying to open a nursing school to train people locally. And I believe that we all Liberians should applaud their effort in every way and encourage them to do so. With that said, we'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, so we are back, Reverend Dede. I know you got some questions to also ask. Your microphone is off, or is okay. It's muted.
Yeah,
There
good,
you
good.
go.
I,
There you
I thought
go.
you know drummer voice, Alex. I thought it was calculated anyway. Yeah, not many persons know when we say Bong County. Panta, the Panta Pride is located in Bong County. Bong County is one of the counties in Liberia. In fact, Bong County is located in the north central portion of Liberia. It's one of the 15 counties, and they deal with minerals. If you look at the flag, I mean the sound, the symbol of the flag represents the mining that they do in Bong County. And for those who are interested in knowing more about that, we'll encourage you to contact our host here today so that they give you what you're doing and how you can contribute to the exercise, to the project. It is always good to discuss these kinds of projects undertaken by Liberians themselves. This is not an NGO, or it could be an NGO, but this is a local and a nationalized NGO by Liberians themselves who see the need to now wait on government, but to get involved in helping themselves and help the people, to empower the people to do what they should be doing as a citizenry, so that they won't languish in poverty and suffering and the rest of that. So that's why the project is worthwhile. It is important that we all get involved in it. We be a part of it, not just our words, but our pockets as well, our resources and our connectivity, our connection, so that they can go in the direction that God is calling them to go. Money answers all things, but money does not give you life. But money answers all things. So we need money for this project, people. I'm already in for this project, and I'm going to go all out for this project. But we want to encourage you to do that. But I have a question for you, brother. I want to pronounce his name correctly. Uh, Quanuquanei. I want to make sure I get it. Yeah, yeah.
Quanuquanei.
Okay, now you can write to me. That's a good thing.
Quanuquanei.
Ellis, bravo. Yeah, my question is, how did you really raise all these thousands of dollars just amongst the Liberians? Did you have any outside support to raise this money? How did you do it, brother? Tell us.
Well, thank you again for the question. We started by realizing that for over 15 years, we've reached out to so many people outside of Liberia to help for Liberia's problems to be solved. And then the inspiration from God just came to us that the best way to solve problem is for you to go down to the people who are in the problem and help them become part of the change. So it took a lot of mentoring. It took a lot of inspiration from God for us to speak to the minds of our people so that they can first start to trust that they are significant, they are important. An important part of our success, of their own success, is when they can stand up on their own and become part of the change. So it took a better part of almost 3 years of living in villages, going from town to town, speaking life, speaking inspiration to the people so that they can start to get used to the idea that I'm not just coming from far away to try to hold their hands through this process. That it's easier for me to go across the world, bring up all of the crisis that's happening in this community, raise the money, go back home, build a road. But then what? The problem is not solved because at the end of the day, the people that are going to migrate on this road were not part of the change. They did not become part of the reason why the road is built. So after talking to our people and finally getting to a place where they can start to believe in this, it wasn't enough to just ask them for money to build this road, but we had to come together in a unifying way to walk on the road. So we launched a half marathon so our people can walk together and run together. And then we invited the whole world. People came from all over the world, 5 different continents, and walked with our people. And we told the people that came, we said, look, the initial funding that we need now, we're not asking you for money. We're asking you to cheerlead our people, make them feel important, make them feel like this road belongs to them. And After our second marathon, the people started to raise the money, and we kept the monies in the villages. They appointed their own trusted people on top of the money. We created billboards along the road for every village that contributed. If they gave $1, we put $1 on the billboard next to their name. If they gave $10, we put $10 next to their name. So people started to see that the monies that they were collecting were being projected on billboards. So eventually they started to believe in the process, and were able to raise a little bit of money to start the road project. And then we had to travel across the world to tell people they've started. Now let's go behind them, put our arms behind them, and see how we can take them across the finish line. And as we speak now, the road project is ongoing. We still need to collect more money. We still need your support. Spend about 150 gallons of fuel a day in paving this road, in grading this road. It's about a 19 miles road from the main road all the way to the Guinea border. So we're not just building a road, but we want to build a bridge between us and Guinea, and hopefully by the grace of God, open that border. And then the people can finally sit back and say, this is what we do when we come together as Liberians. So it has been fascinating.
That's true. It's fascinating because we as Liberians together, with one purpose and aspiration in mind for the common good of the community, yes, things can happen. And that is what's going on right now, building of that road and eventually the nursing school. That'll be very helpful to that entire community. And just to also let you know, as a viewer here, if you're in the United States, in California or any other place, if you want to donate, there's a fundraiser going on starting from June the 3rd. That will be June 3rd of this year, between 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. That will be the California time, which is the Pacific Central Time or Standard Time, at 2251 Flooring Road in Sacramento. There'll be food, music, and a lot of exhibits going on there. And this is where you can go and show your support to these people, because it is all empowering the community in the hinterland. Can you imagine going to the interior part of the country, getting in the mud with the people and helping them to build road and making the fend for themselves by growing food, growing rice, cultivating the soil, making sure that they till the soil and they would grow their own food. Self-sufficiency is what Liberia needs right now. We need to return to our agricultural root to help people fend for themselves. Can you imagine? I saw one of the candidates talking about how many millions of dollars the government spend alone just to import rice in the country from Thailand, China, and other places. So if we can start locally with the people like these Liberians here, it will be very helpful. And that, of course, can be a movement to go all around the country, each county, from county to county, because Liberia is not only Maserati County. No, Liberia got other counties too. And there are people or citizens in those counties that need help. They need to be empowered. When there's no job, nothing to do, the children, that future will just languish, nothing at all. But we want something good for our community. We want roads, we want school, we want education, and everyone want to empower people. And that is what makes the destiny of an individual come to fruition. So whatever you can do to donate to the organization Panta Pride, June the 3rd. But before then, if you have anything, just go look on the website, look for pantapride.org. I believe that is a website, and you will be able to read some information. But just so you can know also, I would like to show you some more video here, just one short video for you to see some of the initiatives and some of the work that they have been doing. So please stay tight where you are.
When people think about Africa, many focus on poverty, exploitation, and corruption. They often think of images of starving children and people begging for handouts. This is not the Africa you will see in the Panta district in Liberia, West Africa. Panta is a very unique and a different place, a beautiful place of potential and innovation. In Panta, we see every crisis as an opportunity. We use local resources and labor to address the needs in the community. We use challenges as motivation to create progress. During COVID-19, because of massive food shortages, we built a rice farm by hand and a rice production and refinery system to feed ourselves. We did this without government assistance. We are innovators and problem solvers. After the COVID crisis, we established a company to package and expand access of clean spring water to over 32 villages throughout Panta. We believe in a society with zero tolerance for corruption. We are committed to a code of conduct based on integrity and ethics, and a culture of respect and love for one another. We love to play, and we are lifelong learners. We believe in community, unity, and cooperation for the common good of all of our citizens and visitors in Panta. And most importantly, we are dreamers. We are dreaming about building one road that will become the heartbeat of Panta. One road that will become the backbone of development, creating a self-sufficient enterprise zone, which is ideal for growth in agriculture and other industries. This is the road to a prosperous future, connected to a bridge that will connect Liberia's capital, Monrovia, to Guinea, exponentially expanding local and international trade. A road that will put an end to an abominable high infant mortality rate because we cannot transport people to hospitals during the rainy seasons. One road that represents a monument for pride among the Panta people. Finally, we are looking for a helping hand in order for us to attain self-reliance so that we will never again need to ask for charity. Will you join us with a helping hand? Together, we can shape a prosperous future for Panta and its people. Thank you so much.
Indeed, Quanuquanei Karmue, yes, and his wife Wendy, they are here with us as our special guests on the Gracious Hope Live podcast. And so you see the work that they are doing is very, very great initiative, and we all can be a part to support. Never again. I like that slogan. Never again. Never again that we can be deceived by people who lead and lead just with all rhetorics and nothing to prove. We want the pragmatic aspect of leadership, and that is what Mr. Karmue and his wife showing in the video, as you can see. And the local community members are experiencing that, producing our own food, being self-sufficient in everything, and then also to be educated. So that road project is a very great road project. It's going to help that entire region. And so then it is something that I believe that we all should chip in. And Reverend Dede, this is wonderful. It is.
It's more than wonderful. I'm just amazed how people will leave the comfort of this place. I'm just being honest and sincere here. Leave the comfort of this great United States of America and go to Liberia, not just stay in Monrovia, but going up into Bong County, not just sitting in Banga, which is the capital city of Bong County, but going into the inner part of the country and working with people. It has to come from within, Alex. It has to be a desire to want to reach out to God's people wherever they are. It's like going into the world, making disciples of all people and teaching them how to move ahead, how to serve God. And that's what they are doing in Panta with the Panta Pride. And I just have nothing but praises for them. I know there will be struggles, there will be testing times, and there will be times where they will ask themselves, did we really make up our mind to do this thing? Is God really calling us to do this? I know those questions come about because that's how the devil operates. The devil brings that schism into your mind and try to confuse your desire and your resolve. But with God, needed help, I know they will move ahead. So I'm just thinking about this question, sis Wendy and brother Quanuquanei. What has been a struggle? What have been the times that you stop, almost give up? Would you want to share those times with us?
Well, I think any big project initiative that God called you to do, the human struggle is gonna follow along with it too as well. Somebody said that be careful what you proclaim because every proclamation comes with a test. Uh,
Mhm.
and when we proclaim this big venture, big idea that how do you transform Liberia? That's a big idea. How do you transform a country that have been stuck for so long? Um, those proclamations certainly came with its own test. I walked away from a six-figure income in San Francisco, destined to pay me $250,000 a year. My wife called me right as I was going for that interview and said, "Don't take the job. If you take that job, you will be stuck here. And all of what you have to deposit, you'll be robbing Liberia of what needs to go and what needs to be done there." And that was about 10 years ago. So for the last 15 years, I have not brought home a single paycheck to my house. But God has taken care of us, tremendously taken care of us. Um, and so some of the things that go through my head when I'm faced with villagers, sometimes 300 people mentoring these young people, is thinking back home about my family. And this time around, when I go, I'm going as long as God will have me go. We don't even put a time frame on God anymore. He tells me to go, and I kiss my wife and my kids goodbye, and I go for as long as He will have me be there until the work is done. Sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And one time I was home for 9 months, and my wife works and handle with the kids here while I'm there, handling with our country. So the biggest situation that we face has always been the time away from family. Um, but at the same time, we also realize that our life is a promise that we have to fulfill to our country. My daughter is about to graduate from high school. I'm very close to my kids and my family. Here, I'm a playful dad. I'm a home daddy. Um, and so being away from the family is the biggest um, problem. I would say not a problem, but just the
Mhm.
part of us that we miss is being around one another. So now I'm back here for only a month, and then I got to go back there to make sure that the work that we are doing stays steady as long as we could. So kudos to an amazing wife who
Yes, and
sacrificed himself.
I know, no, that's his
If you didn't say that, if you didn't say that,
self-sacrifice.
I would have questioned you, buddy. I'm saying that glad you said that.
So
So,
Wendy, looking at the destitution of the people, that is the poor in those counties or in Bong County, to where you specifically are working and carrying on those initiatives. They don't have anything. They don't have no stream of income. Just what they are used to doing. When you look at their faces and when you interact with them, what comes to mind? What are some of the things that come to mind that you believe that you can do? I know you are doing some initiative, but things they are lack of. What are some of the things that you believe that you can do if you had the power to do to lift them up from poverty? I know it is self-sufficiency and all of that, but any other thing that you think they are desperately in need that will lift up that community as a whole?
You know, when I go back, it's just seeing our people. I mean, they just the beauty, just looking at their faces. It's just like our people are beautiful and they're so intelligent. It's that behind that poverty is find intelligent and that beauty. And it's like if they just have the information and that empowerment, you know, and they just, and I just, I think the more it's just the empowerment, just giving them the information they need and telling them how beautiful and how wonderful they are. It just a sparkles, that just kind of go off. And when you talk to them and just tell them how beautiful and how, it just, I feel like it just is one of those things, like emotional well-being
Mhm.
is so important. It's huge, because you can have everything and you don't feel good inside, it means nothing.
That's
So
right.
I think just that emotion aspect, just telling them how wonderful they are, and just finding that weakness, talking with them and building them up in that. I think there's nothing, money can't do that. There's nothing, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just beautiful. It's just something that just, excites me to be able to empower people, psychologically, to let them know
Mhm.
how powerful they are. I think when people feel that, they can overcome anything.
That's right.
Even if they have little, they'll be so satisfied, they'll be so happy with that little. And they
Mhm.
feel like they can do, big things. Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
important.
and good. And we're about to be wrapping up here now. How has your faith played out in all that you're going through, the challenges, making plans, barriers, frustration, overcoming frustration? How has your faith been playing a major part of everything, both of you?
Oh, oh, thank you. God plays a huge part in our life. And I wanted to think, we feel like, without God, being a Christian, and my husband and I, we just, without God, nothing is possible. We have that strong faith, and just trying to keep our family, the girls and I, our girls, just being closer to God and just praying. I mean, we're not perfect, but we believe that when we hold close to God, we can overcome anything. And it's not easy, but it's just being prayerful, encouraging one another, and just know that, hey, our life, we're here, God put on the earth to impact other people. And we feel like, I mean, I was in the war and I escaped, but I came here. So that was the reason why I escaped the war. And when I was back home, I suffer hunger. There were days I never have food to eat. I would cry because I was hungry. Or there was no medical. So coming here, the Lord blessing me coming here, and I'm like, you know what? There's a reason why I'm here. What about those people who don't have those resources? So I believe that God have me here, and my husband, he did the same for a reason. So now that we have, we have to help other people, and we just believe, God have us here for a reason. You can have all the money, so what? It's just something of being there for our brother and sister, and just helping them. To me, that's fulfillment. Yeah.
And
Mr. Camus?
yeah, faith for me is everything. I think for Wendy and I is the heartbeat of our work. Uh, the the way we keep going is the our engine is ran by God, to be honest with you, because there's so many areas that we can give up, reasons for why we should give up, disappointments from the local level, but our appointment is always from God. There's one scripture that we wholeheartedly hold on to for why we believe that everything in our path is possible. And that's out of the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 19 to 22. I'm going to read that really quickly. It
Okay.
said, for the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. Right? And we know that the whole creation has been groaning in as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. Not only so, but we ourselves, who have the first fruit of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for our adoption to sonship, the redemption of our bodies. Now, one area that we take inspiration from is that creation is going to be under pressure until the children of God show up. And the more we sit back and think that going to church is enough, the more creation is going to be under pressure. It's going to be in birth pain until we can show up with what God deposited in us in order to set it free. And there's nothing that is too great to be overcome, nothing too huge that we can't do, as long as we believe that it's God created us to put us and deposit us in crisis in order for us to solve those problems. It's our job to do so. It's not going to happen if we don't do anything about it.
Yep,
Wonderful.
Robin Dede, last word.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I just want to close the scripture as he's closing the scripture. I love that. He went way ahead of me. I said, "Good for it, brother." That's what it is. Yeah, praise God for you, Deacon. I think we're gonna ordain you as Deacon. Hallelujah. Let me just read 2 Corinthians 9, because it says exactly what you're doing. 2 Corinthians 9:10-15. So you will be enriched in every way, so that you can be generous in every occasion. You'll be enriched in every way, so that you can be generous on every occasion. And through us, your generosity will result in the thanksgiving to God. Your generosity will result into thanksgiving to God. And that's just what happened right now. Horses, when you're talking about this, the smile on the faces of the people, and she expresses to them how beautiful they are. That will result in thanksgiving from those people because of what you are doing. And let me just read and conclude. This service that you perform is not only supplying the needs of the lost people, but it's also overflowing in the many expressions of thanks to God. And that's what is happening, my brother and sister. And God has put both of you together today for this time and season, because he knows the needs way ahead of even before we say God. He already knows it. So keep the faith. It ain't gonna be easy. It has not been easy, and there's no promise that it will ever be easy. But with steadfastness and dependence on the Holy Spirit, nothing is impossible for the throne of God. God bless you for what you do, Alex.
Yes, and this is how we leave here today. We would like to thank both of you for being our special guests here, and also for explaining in detail what you do, the work and the initiatives that you are undertaking in that particular region of our country. We hope and pray that those that you are working with everything will go smoothly by God's grace, and hopefully you will achieve the road that is being built or on a way, as well as the clinic and or the nursing school and other goals that you may have on mind. It is our prayer, our gracious hope that all will go well, and we will support you in every way, because we are inspired by what you are doing. Honestly, from our hearts. And I believe those who are listening to this program today, as you distribute or share this program, and you feel moved, don't forget there's a fundraiser going on June the 3rd. And you can go online, pantapride.com, get more information. In fact, .org. Yeah, panta.org. In fact, let me put this on the screen so you can see here. This is the web page where they have all of that information. You can donate right there. You can donate here. There's a donate now right here, and you can read more about what they do. You can watch video. You can see some of the things here as I scroll down. The road project going on, and this is just a peak view of the road that they are looking forward to. And these are the local communities. They grow their own rice, and they bag it and get some gain from there to sustain themselves, as you can see here. So you can go and look at everything here. The donate button is right down here. Help our brother and sister reach this goal for the local community. These are young people. They are growing up. They must have a future that will be beneficial, not just for themselves and their family, but also for the country as a whole. And so it is our plea. And as we look forward to seeing them again, hopefully we can invite you back here. And so you can talk more as this project progresses. All right. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to both of you.
And one
Thank
more
you
thing.
so much.
Yes.
Thank you so
One
much.
more thing. If anyone interested in coming to Liberia, to Bong County, and get involved with the work and see some of the things that we're doing, they're welcome to come. Send us an email and we'll be more than happy. We take people back there, so we're more than happy. We have place to stay, so you don't have to worry about lodging. So just come on over. You're welcome to come.
Yes, and that is pantapride.org. Okay, you can check them out and read all the information there. And a legitimate organization, nonprofit, and they are helping our people. And that's how we bring about change from the local people, from you, not just a vote alone, but you practically on the ground working to till the soil and feed, bringing your own food and everything. We have the energy, we have the strength, we have the capacity, but we need leadership. And this is what these couple are providing right now for our local community. Until then, my name is Pastor Alexander Red, and we'll be back again, as always, on Saturday. Reverend Suarez Dede. May you all have a pleasant weekend, and bye for now.
Blessings, brother. Blessings.